Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New View podcast. My name is Mac.
And my name is Megan.
Come along with us as we dive into the world of competitive Irish dancing and beyond.
Sharing perspectives, developing community, and learning from each other.
We hope you enjoy. Welcome back to New View, everyone. We're so excited to be back with another episode and to be welcoming on our dear friend and someone we think you'll all love hearing from and be super inspired by. So our guest today is Evia Hayter. Evia dances for the Blakey O'Brien School in Western Canada. She's won plenty of Western Canadian titles, the North American Championships, and she's been on the podium at the British Nationals, the All-Irelands, and the Worlds. In addition to competing in Irish dancing, Evia also has an extensive background as a highly trained ballet dancer and has more recently been touring with the Lord of the Dance, both as a member of the ensemble and in a starring role as the Little Spirit. We are really excited to get to chat with Evia and just dive into her unique perspective.
So, Evia, can you start by telling us all about how you got started in dancing and kind of an overview of where you are now?
My mom started me in ballet and Irish when I was 3, with Barb, and then with Alberta Ballet as in ballet, and I trained both for my whole life. I at 10, I think, won my first regional title. I don't actually remember when the heck that was, but yeah, I think at 10 won my first regional title. At 11, I joined professional school for ballet. And around the same time, I started competing internationally for Irish dance. Um, yeah. Um, and in the past couple of years, I just started placing really well and working really hard to get onto the box at majors. And last year, I auditioned to join Lord, and I was successful, and I've been working with them for 6 months now, and it's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. I mean, as I'm sure people have put together, like obviously I'm Blakey O'Brien as well. So I am aware of your journey a little bit more. Anyways, and actually, as you were kind of going through the timeline of your dance career, this just occurred to me. But I feel like that kind of last year of high school, and then maybe like year after, there, I think it's challenging for like a lot of dancers just figuring out like, hey, what am I doing next? And like, what does this next chapter look like? And I'm curious for you, Evia, I guess from the outside looking in, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you had some very serious ballet goals, and like it seemed a little bit more even between like ballet and Irish dancing. And I think it seems like the way things have unfolded, and this maybe isn't like a forever thing, but at the moment it seems like Irish dancing and dancing in the show and that sort of area of your life is more of a focus like than the ballet stuff. I'm just curious like where your head's at in terms of balancing those two in your life right now.
Yeah, it's definitely shifted a lot, in part just not being in school for it anymore because I'm working. Um, but also just like ballet's taken very much a back burner spot, and I still do it every day. Like I'll still end this and go to class, but um it's just not as much of a focus, and yeah, it just wasn't going quite where I'd hoped with that. And so Irish came along and helped to ease that and became more of a focus for me.
Has that kind of shifted like throughout all your years dancing? Have there been like even years or just months where like, oh, I'm a little more focused on this versus that? Or do you feel like it's always been quite a strong balance up until this point?
Um, I feel like it's always been a net balance. There's definitely been like, okay, I'm doing better at Irish right now, so that feels a lot more enjoyable than being at ballet where I'm not doing as well, or if things were going really rough in Irish, then sometimes ballet felt better. And I you like the one that you're doing better, and that's the thing I always found is because I'm vain and vapid and
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I can imagine that's kind of hard to deal with too if you're like, I'm not getting what I want out of one or the other, and the other one's going quite well. That's probably a bit of a challenge to just balance like mentally, but it sounds like you do a very good job, but better than I would do.
Well, I think it's really interesting and I think it's a really great example for everyone is like I've always really been kind of like blown away by how you I guess juggled everything growing up and I think too like beyond that like how awesome is it that you've got these two disciplines that you're extremely good in both of them and like just the way life unfolds it's kind of like embrace the opportunities that come to you and kind of roll with those things. And it doesn't mean that the other has to be a thing that you're never going to revisit or whatever. Like, who knows how life is going to unfold. But I think it's a really good example of kind of going like, yeah, I've gotten myself to an awesome spot in both of these things, and I'm gonna embrace the opportunities that are coming my way, and I'm gonna like build on the momentum that the universe is delivering to me, I guess, if you're somebody who can like put it in those terms. But I think that's really cool. And I also love that, like you're gonna hang up from this recording and you're gonna go do your ballet class because you still love doing that, and that's just like part of who you are. I think we talk about that a lot on this podcast. You don't have to only be like enrolled in a like registered in a competition or like have a specific goal coming up in order to practice the thing you love doing. Like that's a weird concept that I think we all could, to be honest, just get rid of. So I think that that's like a really good example for everybody to hear. And I just commend you for like getting yourself to a spot in life where you've got like different avenues to pursue.
Back to like jump onto that kind of and within this ask you a question, Evia, like I always felt as a dancer like, oh, if I want to be good at Irish dance, I can't do anything else. Like I'd worry that um it just wouldn't allow me to be my best at dancing, but you're a clear example of like being able to do multiple things very, very well all at once. Do you feel like that kind of versatility has allowed you to be excellent in Irish dance or ballet at a given time? Or I don't know, I'm curious how like one helps you with the other domain or how there might be crossover or maybe there's no crossover. Who knows?
yeah, no, especially I think people talk about it when I talk to new people who are watching my dancing, haven't paid attention to me for a very long time, and they're like, "Oh, my style is very ballet and Irish. Like, my style in Irish is very heavily influenced by my ballet training because the fundamentals in it are just so strong. Um, that is, it gives me a lot of control, which it sometimes isn't what I need out of Irish, but it gives me a lot of control and a lot of grace through things, and it obviously gives me my toe height and lights and all that. And so I think it has made a very big difference in my Irish dancing, and I find when I'm not doing ballet, my Irish falls a little bit.
Hmm.
And that could just be a me thing, that could just be in my own brain. I feel the need to be doing both all the time to succeed. Um, And then it made me a really doing Irish made me a really good jumper in ballet. So I jump with the boys. I would never jump with the girls. I jump with the boys because I had the strength and the power to get off the floor for longer periods of time, which uh is actually a really big asset if you're looking at going into a company. It's kind of like you have to be a good jumper if you're short.
Hmm.
Um, and so compared to the other girls around my height, it made me a lot stronger.
Hmm. That's cool. I didn't know that the Irish dancing helped you with your jumping and ballet. That's really cool. Um, I guess to bring it back to now like being in Lord and all of that. I'm just assuming, but I'm wondering if you can speak to this a little bit. Like, I'm assuming that your unique dance training background was a factor that helped you get that little spirit role. Is that, yeah.
Yeah, so I got Little Spirit in part from the freestyle competition. And so when I competed that, what I did was a lot of Irish with a little bit of ballet mixed into it and like some very specifically ballet moves. And that's what got James and that group's attention. Um, and that's part of why I'm Little Spirit. And it's it's becoming more of a thing within the role of Little Spirit is it's a bit of ballet, a bit of Irish, and a lot of acting, which is it's a lot of fun. And yeah.
That's cool. That's super awesome. Um, okay, if you were to give advice to a younger dancer who, let's say they've only ever done Irish dancing, but they're looking to explore other genres, in order to make themselves like, I don't know, more attractive to a dancing company or something, like make themselves more versatile. But let's say they didn't start when they were 4. What would your advice be to Irish dancers looking to get a more versatile dance training?
Um, I'd honestly say find a solid recreational ballet studio with a teacher who used to be a professional dancer
Hmm.
because their knowledge alone can help a lot with some of the things that Irish dance doesn't teach us about being in a professional company
Hmm.
because it is its own thing. Because competitive Irish dance and show dance are not the same, and not
Hmm.
even necessarily like from a technical standpoint, like from a whole concept and how you need to go about it is a little bit different.
Hmm.
Um, but I also just think ballet training is, I think it's good. A lot of shows these days use ballet arms, they use ballet shapes, particularly Lord and River. Um, so that can help like get your arms moving properly. Because I think obviously it's a very big difference to competition dance. But I think take anything. I think there are a fair few show dancers right now who have multiple styles trained, and I think all of us would just say take anything. Take anything you can. Whether it's like one of the dancers and former dancers in Lord used to do burlesque dancing as well. Just like take anything you can and learn anything you can and see how it can apply to everything else. And particularly if there's a specific show you want to get into, play with that and see where you can do that with it.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's super interesting just how knowledge from like any other domain can be quite impactful when it comes to professional show dancing because I think you're right in saying like regular Irish dance doesn't necessarily prepare you for what's needed these days and what's popular in show dancing. So getting that like knowledge wherever you can is probably like incredibly impactful. I'm just curious to jump back to like the question I asked earlier in a little bit of a different perspective between Irish and ballet, like what have you learned that helps not from a physical standpoint, but just your general approach or in training or mindset, like beyond what it helps you with physically? Have you noticed crossover at all between those two styles?
Mm. I definitely, I think my approach is very ballet when it comes to like drilling things and doing things. Like I'll do the same if I know there's something technically wrong with my Irish dancing, I will do the same 5 drills to warm up for 3 weeks to try and fix that one issue, especially if it's overarching. Because like in ballet, we don't talk about technique so much when we're doing like rep and when we're doing like we do talk about it, but it's expected that your technique comes from class. You wouldn't spend a bunch of time drilling like pieces in ballet if they're just technique related. You'd take that information that you're doing something wrong technically and go back to class with it and then take it into the rep later. And so I think I like to separate things a lot. I like to pull things apart and leave them and work on them there. And
Yeah, so that's really like impacted your approach to training and practicing and working on your own, it sounds like. Do you feel at all like when you get on stage for Irish dance, let's say, like fundamental things from your ballet training are showing up, or vice versa, like with ballet, anything from Irish dance is showing up as far as like what it's like when you're actually on stage doing the thing?
I find them very, very different, particularly the competing. Like com the dogs are barking. Um, but like competing in a show, competing versus being in a show, like ballet is two very different things in my brain, and I'm trying to move them more into one ground now. And I think I did an okay job of that at the All Ireland, where it's like this is because as much as it is a competition, like you need to give everyone a show. Um, but I find it very hard to separate the fact that I am actively being judged in a competition. Whereas in a show, like even if you have someone there who is scrutinizing you, they're aware that nothing ever goes completely right in a show. If you have a show that goes completely right or completely how you want it, that's very, very rare. And whoever is scrutinizing you out in the audience will understand that. Whereas in a competition, you do anything wrong and you're getting docked.
Wow, that's super interesting. I haven't thought of that, and I'm sure that plays like a huge role in just your mindset and approach. So
I
interesting.
I wonder, I wonder. I wonder if there's an opportunity, like in just what you just said. I think that's pretty powerful. Is like, yeah, I mean, I totally get that perspective. Is like you're in a competition and you're like, well, if my feet go straight here, that's gonna automatically translate to a lower placing or a lower score or whatever. But playing with the idea, and I think I'm curious about this all the time with dancers who dance in shows and love dancing in a show versus competing and like have that kind of like analytical brain that they can't turn off because I have a opposite perspective, which is really interesting. Like if I go to do show stuff, I'm so in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna ruin it if like anything is off and whatever. Whereas in competition, weirdly, I felt actually by the time I got to competing on the stage, I had like this weird freedom of like, well, I am where I am and I'm just gonna like do my best jig, right? Like I was able to have the opposite experience, which I just think is so interesting. We get so locked into how we think things are. And like that's very human. Like you have to have those sort of rules in your mind sometimes to get through the day. But I love this conversation because it's like, oh, well, the opposite must be possible because like there's three different people on this Zoom that all have a slightly just different perspective of those two things. Do you know what I mean? I just think that's like super interesting. To maybe pivot the conversation just slightly, I'm curious, like the very first time you were about to like walk on to do Little Spirit, how did you feel like mentally? Like if I was in that situation, I'd be freaking out.
It's funny. So they gave me a dress run the day before, um, that was everyone else is just in blacks. So everyone else is in rehearsal clothing and trainers, but I was in like full costume. And that was the most terrifying day of my life. The day that I actually danced, like the day that I did my first show, it didn't go quite how I wanted it to, but I wasn't actually that scared. What I was scared of was having Zoltan and Aaron in the front row of the auditorium, just the two of them with their notebooks, and everyone else just watching from the wings to see like what was this new spirit doing. This is the most terrifying experience of my life. I
Hmm.
also think because they're your peers and they have some frame of knowledge of what it's supposed to be, I think that makes it more scary versus people who have never seen the show before. And that's the thing. I actually was more scared for the Dublin show with all the OGs this past month because I was like, oh my God, all these people know what this is. They're all adjudicators now. Like this is a terrifying concept. My first show though, like I was nervous, but it was easier to manage, I think.
And like, how do you think you translated skills from competing in terms of managing your mindset specifically, in that context of managing your headspace? Or have you developed new skills since being in the show and like talking with other professional dancers in terms of mindset specifically?
Yeah, I think my mindset for that came a lot from ballet, like just from all the shows that we do for that. And like, yeah, I think because I'm usually still nervous to do those when I first, especially when we're only doing one show, like it does make you nervous. And all of those were like, again, peer watched. They weren't necessarily they were watched by friends and parents. And so a lot of the times those people had a good frame of reference for what it was supposed to be as well. And so I think that helps in for those really stressful shows. So I know I've done that a million times, and I definitely the energy at Lord is very good and very different going into a show. Everyone is very high energy and very supportive and just kind of even when it is a big show and there's big things going on, everyone's just sort of there for the crack and like we want to put a good show out, but in order to do that, because Lord is such a high energy show, you just kind of have to be in a good mood and shake it out.
Hmm.
Big part of it. Like,
That's great insight. Like that's super insight. Because, you know, if you found like, oh, I'm performing well in this when the vibe is good and we're like, you're doing it for the crack, like it's so hard to create that in a competition context. Just be so for real. At the Worlds, you walk into the venue and you can feel it. Like you can feel everybody's like to some extent. And I'm just putting that out there for the Worlds this year. Maybe we can all collectively go in with a more like shake it out, let's have fun with this kind of vibe. Because we say this is so common, we say this, but at that point when you get to the Worlds, like your work is done. You're not like you're not really changing much. What you can really have an effect on is the vibe. I don't know. I think that's like super inspiration for everybody going into the world. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe not everybody's a super goofy, silly person, but how can we bring a little bit more lightheartedness to this thing that can feel very heavy for people? I think all three of us can agree that that week of the year can be a lot. And so I like the idea of taking that, you know, like show, we're putting this on together, energy type of situation into the worlds because really that is what it is. If you zoom out, like that's what the worlds is. It's a big show of great competitive Irish dancing. Hopefully, you know. I love
Yeah,
that.
I think that's honestly the perfect note to end it on. Evia, you're a great example for just showing up and bringing a unique energy to all these things, whether it's because of your really versatile training and experience in the sport or just your beautiful skills. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thanks so much for being here.
thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of the New View podcast. We hope you enjoyed.
If you have any ideas about future guests we should interview or want to connect, you can find us on Instagram at newview.collective or email us at newviewcollective.mm@gmail.com.